Episode 52 of the Travel Bros. Jamie, I think we need a trigger warning on this episode before we get started. There's some people's wedding nights getting ruined. There's some gross food action going on. It's just if you're squeamish or sensitive to bad wedding nights, maybe skip this episode. Otherwise, I think you'll be very entertained. This is like luxury hotel horror stories that I've collected from the internet. You haven't heard any of these. It's going to be a new
Yeah, I
format.
have
If
not.
people like this, if people like this format, please let us know or give us some feedback. I will make more of these. I think it'll be fun. As entertaining as this all is, I'm not going to reveal any of the hotels. I don't think a lot of cases it's very relevant. It's a lot of, I don't want to disparage any people or hotels. Some of these issues I think are just circumstance. So we'll get
Employee
that out of
having a
the way.
bad day.
We're not going to dead name any hotels in this process. I don't think that's the point. However, Jamie, I do want your natural reactions to these disasters. And then I think what would be beneficial to all the listeners is you as a seasoned traveler and a travel agent, how you would try and remedy some of these
Whew, okay.
situations or handle these things, a little feedback, like what you would do in your
Yeah.
place, or because I think that would be useful to know. Man, so I've got 6 disasters for you, Jamie. I'm gonna start. I don't know if they're in quite the most dramatic order. Maybe they are. But let's get started. I made some titles for these as well, Jamie. So we're gonna roll through these and see how this episode goes. So new format. We're trying it out. What they don't tell you about staying in luxury hotels. All right. Story number 6, Jamie. I titled it "How Hard Is a Bathtub?"
Boy.
This is great. So we booked a very specific suite due to it having a bathtub, and my husband just loves to take a bath. I even confirmed with this hotel before arrival that we were going to be given the suite. Upon arrival, we were upgraded to a suite that did not have a bathtub, and no one told us about this issue or this happening at this time. We arrive to the room, go promptly back to the front desk and say, we booked this suite because we wanted a tub. It took way too long to get this resolved, but they seemingly put us in a room that we booked. But then we got into the room, my husband took a tub, and the tub would not drain. So we called the front desk, who sent engineering that could not get it fixed. So we've been in this hotel for 2 hours, and we're now back to the front desk to get our third room. This takes even longer, and they swap us into a room that has a tub, but they're very, very reluctant to move us there. So then the problems really arise the next day. This lady kind of tells the story out of order a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of read what she says and then you'll piece together what's going on. They will try to move your room without telling you. I have never in all my travels heard of this. We discovered the hotel was planning to downgrade our room without our consent. They were going to give and have an employee pack up all our belongings and move us while we were at the beach this morning. The only reason I found out about this move at all was because I went to the front desk to complain about an entire other issue with our cabana we had booked. The front desk attendant made a passing comment about how we were changing rooms tomorrow and we were shocked. Not so much as a text message was sent indicating we were being moved. All of our stuff was unpacked in our room. Imagine coming back to your room to find your key doesn't work and your personal items have been moved. We didn't even end the conversation with a guarantee they wouldn't move us in the morning. They just said that they would look into not moving our room. I had to tape a note to my door saying, "Do not move us." And the next day we were afraid to leave our room, like we were barricading ourselves in. This experience really put us on the defensive, which I would not describe as 5-star. And Jamie, let me tell you something real quick. This property that I'm not going to name has an average room rate of about $1,500 a night for a base room. So this suite, I'm going to guess, was probably $2,500
Phew.
to $3,000 a night. What's your initial reaction?
So I am a tub person, so I can sympathize with that being something important. Same with my wife. So special occasion, you want to make sure you have this suite with a tub. Get there, they upgrade you to one without it. I'm just trying to go through chronologically. I would be very upset and probably ask to be moved back to my original room. Tub not draining. I have had that happen before. Similar, hey, call engineering. Hopefully they come out, fix it. They can't fix it. At this point, you're being moved again. At that point, that should be the end of it. And they should be given, you know, maybe a small property credit, $100, couple $100 to, hey, sorry for the inconvenience having to move. This seems like it's spiraling out of control. There's no reason once you've moved to a room that's satisfactory and working, you should be in there for your stay. There should be no questions asked. Like nothing else should be happening. So I'm not sure, especially at a nice hotel, I don't understand how that's even happening that, hey, we're going to move you. We're going to pack your stuff without telling you, particularly if it's a downgrade. I could see if they were maybe upgrading you and they should still let you know. I would probably, I mean, I don't know how it went as far as it did. I would think just a quick conversation with a front desk manager or reservation manager or manager on duty of some sort would say, hey, we're happy with the room we're in, you know, leave it as is. That should be the end of it. Is there an outcome? Like what was there an outcome to this? Did they end up having to move anything?
So they that was kind of the end of the story. She basically didn't get moved, but she was very upset with her stay, which I understandably.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, ideally that the second move or third move, whatever the third room they went to with a working tub, to me that should have been the end of it. Maybe some type of property credit or drinks or a sorry amenity to the room would probably be enough. All that added stuff, I'm not sure what I would be asking for without like actually being there in the situation. If it's being overly dramatic about what was happening because they had a bad stay. So I know if I've had a bad stay, everything becomes amplified. Like every little issue is like, oh, this is the end of the world, which may be if I'm going to complain about the cabana, it may be everything's going wrong and I'm going to complain about everything. I don't know. But I think, something like that, talk to the manager, explain, hey, this room's fine, maybe a property credit. That should be the end of it. What's your
For
thought?
sure. I agree. I think even having a travel agent or anyone, I think in this situation is not going to be that much good. But when you find out from the front desk agent, like I think you need to be very polite, but very clear and bold. Like, I need to speak to someone way above your you just need to keep saying, like, this is unacceptable and just running through and making it very clear, like, we're finding this room, we're staying in this room. You need to talk to the GM, someone, because at the end of the day, the front desk person is probably just
Relay the
doing what
message. Yeah.
they're right. Like, they're not, it's not like it's their choice. What do you think the reason is? Do you think that they had that room
That's
booked for someone
that would be
else
that
and
that was
then
my only thought, right? Like someone else is booked into that room during that stay and they don't have anywhere else to put them. And I don't know if it's like, hey, this person's already had a bad experience. Like, uh, you know what I
right,
mean?
well, why ruin
Why
2
ruin
people's
another
stay?
stay? I mean, that's all I could think in my mind. But yeah, I mean, that's one where, if I had a client stay and I got that phone call, I'd be reaching out to the GM or someone on property like, hey, this isn't acceptable. They're in a room they're happy with. Don't move them. You need to do something for them. And that really should be the end of it.
Alright. I agree. Alright, Jamie, let's move to this next story now. This one is a rough one. Um, I just did a lot of internet sleuthing over Thanksgiving week. I actually found this on a blog that I read. I don't know this person specifically, but I do really like this blog. I gotta say this about this stay before we get into it. It's someone's wedding night. So I think just any poor performance on a wedding night is already awful. My caveat, and I don't think this is fair, and I don't think this is what should happen, but while our first property was like a $1,500 a night property, this is like a $200 to $300 a night property. And I feel like they could have maybe had a better experience if they stayed in a nicer hotel in this city.
Okay. That's
Like, this
fair.
is a very like low 4-star,
Okay.
maybe 3-star hotel in a decent sized metropolitan city. Whereas I think if they, for your wedding night, maybe just splurge a little bit to
And
make sure that service is on point.
I've got a question before we start into the story. Is their wedding
Okay.
at this hotel? And I only ask that,
No.
right? Because if I'm already in for 20, 30 grand, my
Hmm.
expectation is going to be, I think, significantly higher than if I'm just spending $500 for one night at a hotel.
Uh, no.
Okay.
As far as I know, it is
Okay.
not. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm like 80% sure from the
That's
story.
fair.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying with that though, right? Like if I'm already spending a ton of
Yes.
money here, I'm going to expect a little bit better service than if I'm just hey, I'm here for the night.
I'm gonna guess no because their luggage is getting
Okay.
delivered. But
That's fair.
let's dig into this one, Jamie. I titled this "A Mess on Our Wedding Night." Now, don't worry, this review will remain PG, but you'll quickly understand how consistent failures in service completely destroyed any sense of reputation this property had with me. There was not one single thing done right. I can understand special requests failing, but from the moment we checked in, the entire hotel staff dropped the ball. So let's get started. The first ball dropped was our luggage. My father delivered our luggage and checked us into the hotel, requesting the luggage be delivered to our rooms. Pretty simple process. When we arrived after our wedding, a bit past midnight, we arrived to a room with no luggage. After calling down to the front desk, it took over 45 minutes to have luggage brought to our room. This means we had no change of clothes. My wife was stuck in her wedding dress, and I was stuck in my tux. We couldn't shower because we had nothing else to change into, and we had no idea when our luggage would be arriving. Strike one. After the luggage was delivered, we were waiting for some food and champagne that my mother in law had prepaid for and ordered in advance to be delivered to our room. Spoiler alert, when we called about inquiring about it, the phone was hung up on multiple times. It took about an hour and a half to get a response from the night manager and amenity staff regarding this delivery. When they finally said it was on the way, it took an extra 20 minutes until it was delivered. Again, leaving us stuck because who knows when someone's going to show up with this delivery. I prepaid for a rate that included room service. Interesting idea. We had a midday flight to catch on our way to the Maldives for our honeymoon. Well, at least he's going to get some
Yep.
reprieves in the Maldives. Knowing we needed to leave the hotel by 10:45 a.m. to get to the airport in time, we selected the food to be delivered between 9:45 and 10 a.m. For those of you who don't know, you've got those room service
Yeah.
cards and you can pick a delivery time.
Cutting it a
I feel
little
like
cutting it a
maybe a
little close
little.
there.
I agree. I agree. Certainly, this would be enough time to get food delivered. At 10:15, our breakfast had still not arrived, so I called down and was told it was being plated and on the way. At 10:30, it had still not arrived, and we decided to leave the hotel so we could hopefully have time to grab food at the airport. Upon checking out, expressing complaints, we were offered free self-parking, which was $60. Every single request that was not beyond reasonable was met with failure at this hotel. No luggage, no food that had been paid for, no room service that had been prepaid for. We arrived at the hotel shortly after midnight and we weren't even able to shower until almost 1:30 a.m. Even breakfast, which was included in the room, should be standard practice of the hotel, was nearly an hour late and we abandoned it. Jamie, how do you feel about this person's wedding night?
Man, that really I do think these are all legitimate complaints. The only thing that I could
Mhm.
even semi not fault the hotel, the breakfast thing, but even still, it should have came within 20, 30 minutes of that window. I would almost expect the whole that stay to be comped. Like that's how bad that is in my mind. If your luggage isn't there and you got to wait almost an hour for it, someone prepaid and pre-ordered food, I would have expected that to, as soon as you checked in, it come into the room. You know that's not going to be cheap, even if it's chicken fingers and champagne. I'm sure it's $100 plus.
I'm sure.
I don't know what the going room rate is at this hotel, but if it's 500 plus or minus, I would expect probably them to just, hey, we'll take care of this. In my mind, for a one night stay.
And it's your wedding night too.
Well,
Which
that's
I
what I
mean,
mean.
obviously, whew, man.
And really, any hotel you go to, I mean, I don't care if you're staying at like a Spring Hill Suites or Holiday Inn. If you're like, hey, it's my wedding night, I would expect the staff, anybody, to be like, hey, let's do something like let's try and help this person out. Let's make it special. Go to a DoubleTree or whatever. Give them some extra cookies. Like so I would expect
Yeah.
something.
So I'll tell you this: this hotel is in one of the large chains. Its average room rate on TripAdvisor says it's between 230 and 500 a night, and it's a 300 room
They
hotel.
should, in my mind, that should just be, hey, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. That in my mind, right? Like, or if it, if we're talking like points and chains, something like the equivalent reimbursement, right? Hey, here's the equivalent number of points that would cover another stay at a similar hotel or, something like that would be my expectation.
Something for sure. Okay. Whew, Jamie.
I'm going to give us while we're going. I know you and I talked about how we had not had disaster stays before. My wife had one last year that I was not there for, and we'll do it as a bonus stay, as a bonus disaster.
Oh, I'm excited. Look at this. Jamie's throwing out some teasers. Okay. All right. This one is a little shorter, but man, I can feel the anxiety of this person in this story. A race to fix the safe. That's what I titled this one, number 4. Oh, I almost said the property name. I guess I can edit it in post, but the first words are the property name. I arrived in the Caribbean to lost luggage at check in. They decided to deliver it to someone else's room. The luggage that was lost had my child's favorite stuffed animal. Oof, I'm going to tell you from years of packing, never put your child's favorite stuffed animal in a checked bag. It's a recipe for disaster.
I'm saying I definitely agree. Anything that's going to ruin your kid's vacation, that needs to be carry on or in your hands.
Yeah. Okay. So we agree. Which, not that I'm trying to victim shame them here, but it's a rough one. It took over 2 hours for them to find our luggage and deliver to our room. On multiple occasions, it took over 90 minutes for food to come at breakfast. And I'm talking basic things: fruit, croissant, eggs. Yes. We complained to the front desk, who suggested that we try room service for the third day. Spoiler alert, room service never showed up with our breakfast on the third day, so we went without breakfast. On the day of checkout, the room safe that had our passports and my jewelry wouldn't open, and it took almost 2 hours for them to find someone to get it to open. Because of the delay with the safe, the taxi we had ordered left us, and we had no way to get to the
Oh
airport.
boy.
We were already very, very late. As I broke down in tears, begging to just leave, eventually someone from the hotel drove us in a shuttle. And then she did mention a few other minor issues happened as well. That was, being served food that we felt was raw, which, that can't happen. And then she said they did end up offering us a redo weekend, which I turned down because I have no interest in coming back. And they did refund half of our stay.
Oh,
Jamie, what
I
is
mean,
your
I,
take on this one?
I feel like that's a pretty good service recovery.
I
I mean,
agree.
I think that's pretty fair. Now, the misses along the way, I think that's crazy. Breakfast being an hour and a half, especially with a little kid, like you know how terrible that's going to be.
Hmm.
So, well, the stay does sound like a disaster, and I can imagine I would be freaking out with that safe. Like, hey, I'm trying to get to the airport. I'm in another country. If you're in the Caribbean, there may or may not be another flight that day to get you home. You miss that. Like, that's a mess. So I can totally relate to that. I mean, I feel like every one of those is a true disaster. I do feel like the
Yes,
hotel probably did a fair service recovery. I mean, half your stay comped, plus if you wanted it a redo weekend, like that's pretty fair to me.
this is a $800 to $2,000 a night hotel in the Caribbean.
Yeah, I mean, I probably would have taken him up on the redo weekend. Like, hey, let's try this again, because my expectation would be if you're coming back for a service recovery, they're gonna hopefully have that flagged in the system to try and like go above and beyond for you this next time. Would be my hope.
Yeah,
You would have had to really, really wronged me, and the place would have had to be like way below expectations for me not to want to go back for free.
that's true.
You know what I'm
I mean,
saying?
maybe if you only travel like one
Once a
weekend a
year.
year, though, you're
Yeah,
just like
that's
never
fair.
again. Or you could, well, what if they live on the West Coast, right? Where it's just so
Yeah, that's fair.
prohibitive to get there. I will say, I can relate to that story in two ways. There is a certain hotel in the Caribbean where I have waited over an hour every day for breakfast. I did not have kids, so it was not the end of the world.
Whew.
But with my daughter, it would be the end of the world. The other note is this was my fault, not the hotel's fault, to be clear. But we got in our cab leaving the Ondas Papagayo in Costa Rica, and our passports were still in the safe as we left the hotel. But luckily, about 10, 15 minutes into that drive, I remembered we turned
Whew.
around. I had called the hotel, and they actually went and got them out and had them at the front, so I didn't have to run to the room,
That's
which was
nice.
nice. But that was my own fault. So even that feeling was awful, so I can only imagine what to know that they're in the safe and you can't get it.
Yes.
If she's not exaggerating, 2 hours is I probably would have, like,
I would have
tried
been
to
carrying that
crowbar
safe
the
down to the
thing.
front desk. I'd be like,
Yeah,
"Hey, figure this out."
man.
We actually this is an interesting, and I don't know if this is every hotel policy or not, but we actually had a
Okay,
stay last year with friends, and the friends left their wallet and credit cards and cash and everything in the safe when we left, and we didn't realize till we got back to she must have had her ID with her, but got
okay.
back home and was like, "Oh crap, I can't find my wallet." It was in the safe with cash in it with cards. Because there was cash, they wouldn't ship it. Now, luckily, they had friends that were like in the area and could go to the hotel, get it for them, and then ship it. But I'm like, man, that's a tough situation. Like, hey, we're not going to ship this because there's cash. Do I fly back down to get it? Like, what do you do?
Yeah, extra vacation, I
I mean, that's
guess.
what I said. I'm like, I'll go if you want to buy me a ticket. I'll go pick it up for you.
Yeah, I'll go pick it up. No problem. Jamie, you're
But
such a nice guy.
take one for the team.
That's not a That's never a good feeling. All right, Jamie, this hotel that this one is a tough one because I think I would discourage a client from coming to this hotel anyway. And this review kind of reiterates some of this. This hotel is in Mexico. Average nightly rate, according to TripAdvisor, is 380 to 1600 a
Whew,
night.
it's a big range.
Now, I'm going to say this. This is probably this review specifically she mentions is over a peak holiday weekend. So she's probably close to the
Yeah, I was gonna
$1,700.
say, this got to be Caribbean.
No, this is Mexico coming.
Okay, okay, but yeah, it's somewhere very seasonal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so I do think you're the thing that stinks is it's not really a $1,700 a night
Yes,
hotel, but she's paying that because she's there over a
yeah,
holiday, and I think her expectations are raised and the hotel's performance is lowered in this
that's
in this
fair.
whole situation.
And I think we talk about that. You and I have quite a bit, like particularly in the Caribbean or Mexico, where it's like, hey, if you go in the fall, you're going to pay 300, $400. You go Christmas week or spring break, you're going to pay 1,000 for the exact same room, and
Yeah.
you rightfully have different expectations when you're paying that much.
So I think this is the scenario, but I did want to give you that context that this is over a holiday weekend because I
Okay.
trimmed down her review, but she does mention that in the review. I titled this "A Smelly Room in Paradise." Yeah, it's not going well, Jamie. This was the first trip I've ever been on where I was so excited to go home.
Wow.
I felt like this hotel should be an entry to maybe mid 4-star hotel. It's very hip lingo here, using mid. So, quite possibly the weirdest hotel service wise I've ever experienced. The general manager here is very difficult to deal with and talks your ear off without properly following through on anything she says or actually resolving any problem. Our main issue our room was dirty on arrival, and I mean dirty. My baby's knees, hands, and feet were literally black after minutes of crawling on the hotel room floor. And the baby tried to eat clumps of who knows what that wasn't cleaned from the floor. There were also marks on the floor from uncleanliness of our room that had us thinking it was poop streaks. Thankfully,
Ugh.
it wasn't. And housekeeping stepped up after we requested a deeper clean. She posted pictures of it. It looked pretty gross. Maybe some animal feces. Now, the bigger problem that never got fixed. Our room had a very bad smell to it. Imagine a ton of wet swim shorts left to rot in a room type of smell. It was immediately noticeable upon entry and made us want to spend zero time in the room, which is a problem when you have two kids who still nap. I'm still kicking myself for not leaving this property and finding a better hotel. Once the general manager and technician actually listened to us and came to the room ourselves, which was on the third night, I believe, after numerous messages and complaints nonstop from my TA, they looked at each other with big eyes and agreed the room stunk. A dehumidifier was promised. The GM said she would follow the request up herself, and they were going to work on our smell. Our room was doused with weird scented stuff, which helped a little bit, but never actually fixed the problem. It took another night and another text from me to actually have a dehumidifier delivered. We continuously asked for another room, and the GM kept saying she was going to find one. She'd fix the problem. And then on follow up, she'd say there's nothing she can do as they're sold out. Just lie after lie and no real action. Lesser points that may be noteworthy for others. Our room was by an active construction site, and our ocean view was not great. Now, Jamie, she posted a picture of this ocean view. I've never seen a worse. Albeit it's an ocean view. There is a view of the ocean, but she's on the second floor
Trees in the
in like
way.
the corner, and like yeah, she's on the yeah. There's like a speck of the ocean that you can kind of see between these trees. So I'm gonna give her some credit. She should have a lot of problems with this ocean
And I
view.
will say, as a travel agent, Mexico is notorious for room categories that do not fit where they should be. Like ocean view, 90% of the time, unless I have been to the property and I know that you're going to see the ocean, like I would say you're it's probably going to be, like second story, you may get a glimpse of it.
Which is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Let
That's
me let me roll through
Oh, that's
these
not
last few
even we're going to
things.
still okay.
We're not even these are just her notes. I just want you to get the full context before we get your reaction here, Jamie. Other odd things. On arrival, I asked for a crib. They told me they had no cribs available and suggested I have my baby sleep on the bed surrounded by pillows. I insisted this was a huge safety hazard for us, and after a bit of back and forth, a crib was delivered. I had to be super direct with the requests and sometimes ask more than once. I asked for extra towels, pillows, and water. I got One towel, one pillow, and one water delivered to my room. On check in, they said we had a $100 a day resort credit, which wasn't true. And at checkout, it was $100 total. We thought this was odd to give us the wrong info, but we knew that it was $100 for the whole resort, but very misleading if we weren't aware of the benefits. At the time of booking the kids club, on the website it was advertised as 3 to 12. I emailed them to confirm and I later found out the club email on the website did not work. The age changed to 4 and they asked for proof when I said I saw it was age 3, which I actually had. I showed them on the website and they allowed my child to enter the kids club since I showed it him on the website, but he did not like it. I will say the employees at the kids club were my favorite people there. They were super friendly and kind. Oh, finding a seat at the pool was harder and harder the closer it got to Christmas Day. They had a sign that would only allow you to hold chairs for 90 minutes, but they were not enforced. No helping of finding seats at all, but I will say I did get food very quickly at the pool. This was just not a hotel that executed service well.
That's a mess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of there's a lot there's misses throughout the whole thing, right? So
Mhm.
I'll hit the easy ones for like the chair thing. That's a pet peeve of mine. Like people going down early in the morning, throwing their sandals and a book and stuff on the chair. That drives me insane. And unless you're at a small, like really, really high end, like 100-room resort, you're going to run into that spring break, Christmas, whatever, which stinks. But that is a pet peeve of mine. I do appreciate if the staff actually is proactive about moving stuff, but 90% of the time, even if there's a sign, they're not doing anything.
Mhm.
Trying to think which things I would really hone in on. She didn't make as big a deal about it because I think she was familiar with the program. But if I was told $100 a day at check in, I would have probably, particularly if I thought I only had 100 the whole stay, I'd say, "Are you sure that's 100 a day?" And if they confirmed it again, I may try to push for them to honor that. The room thing, that's a terrible situation. If they are sold out, I don't know what they can do, but I would definitely think some free nights or some type of compensation if you're sitting in there in a stinky room and it's dirty for 3, 4 days. Like that's crazy to me.
I mean, part of the problem though too in this situation is it seems like the GM just
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean,
is involved in not wanting to help,
and
right?
that's
I mean, maybe could or not want to, I don't know. But my thing is like even if you can't give her a room, at least like get the dehumidifier and make it
yes,
like it
yeah.
sounds like they took no action for 3 days, which is
Yeah. Well, and I
crazy.
think what you run into there is you're at basically at the top of the chain if you're dealing with the GM, and if they're not doing anything, you don't have a lot of recourse when it comes to like, hey, give me some free nights. And if they're like, no, I mean that's a tough one. I would probably be pushing for some type of refund of X number of nights, or depending on what my bill was, like cover the bill, cover a good chunk of the bill. Like that's crazy to me, especially if you're paying, like we were saying, if you're paying $1,000 a night or something because it's a
Well,
holiday, possibly more.
yeah, I think more. And then how about this? I priced it out. I don't know how many days she stayed here, but it's clear at least 5 or 6. So if you price out 6 nights over Christmas break at this hotel, you're well over $10,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, whew.
And I expect more from a GM and like service standpoint at that price level, which is crazy.
Yeah, what's frustrating, I think, too, just in general, is like this is a newer property.
How new? Like in the last year or so? Because
Let me
that'd be the
see.
only thing that I could think is like, okay, maybe it's well, there's no excuse.
Well, it did open in 2020.
Okay. I mean, you
So
should have
it's
your
not,
stuff sorted
they
out
should
by
have
now.
everything dialed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It is really interesting though. The reviews of this property are very polarizing and like you see a lot of 5-star and a lot of 1-star. So it just seems like they don't quite have it. Maybe once it's busy, everything just
That's
kind
what I
of
was.
falls
That's
apart.
kind of what I was thinking. It's like, hey, if you come during the off season and you're paying $400, you're like, wow, this is an amazing value. And I will say, if you're paying $400 at a luxury hotel, you're like, you could probably let a few things go. You're like, oh, this is a great deal. Where you're paying
Yeah.
1,500 a night, you're like, paying too much to deal with this.
So any other solutions there, Jamie, or anything you want to
Man,
touch on? I mean, there's just so much going on here.
that's one where, especially if you dealt with the GM, like if they're part of a larger chain or brand, that would be my only, like, I'd go to a corporate, try to escalate that way and see if they would do anything. But
Yeah.
you run into a bad GM, there's not much you can do. right? If they say, especially if they're the problem, they're not going to be like, "Oh, I'm the problem. Let me give you give you some free
Right.
nights."
It's true.
To probably go on the defensive.
And the thing is, and this is why I said I would discourage clients from booking there. There's so many other hotels in the area that I think are acceptable. All right, Jamie. Number two here, man. Okay, real quick. There was another situation at another luxury hotel that had a pool chair issue, and I almost wrote it up because it was so crazy. According to this lady, the the hotel staff was fake taking chairs at the hotel, and then they were basically asking, they're like, "Oh, well, if you give me $50,
Oh
I can
goodness, I
open
can
these
believe
chairs
that
up
though.
for you." It was crazy. And then the interesting thing was there were other people in the comments that had stayed at the hotel and said the same thing happened
So
to
yeah,
them.
that verified then in my mind.
Yeah, so I almost wanted to post that one, but I was like, I don't know. It didn't seem good enough, but if we get another episode, I'll bring that whole story on here. Jamie, this one is not as interesting as you may think, but after I read you the story, I'm going to drop a bombshell on you at the end that just makes this all the more interesting. The title of this one is Hotel Concierge Loves to Make Fake Dinner Reservations. During check in, I was upgraded to a suite deluxe layout that is not the same as the suite that I booked. I purposely booked a suite to receive an old town view. I got upgraded to a suite deluxe that had no old town view and also had missing window shades. I went up to the room, I came down, politely rejected the upgrade, and requested to be downgraded back to the suite that I originally booked. They told me that that suite was not available and I should come back tomorrow. Happens. It seems like that all got resolved. They ended up upgrading him in the end. Let me just do the update. I went back to the front desk the next day. I was offered two options: my same suite deluxe with a view or a better suite for a surcharge. And they ended up giving him the better suite for free. So I think
Okay.
there was a good service recovery there. He got a great suite. He posted a video of it in the thread on Facebook. I was very impressed. This is where I think the story got really interesting. I asked to be booked at a table at the restaurant. The front desk concierge called and informed me that I had secured a dinner reservation for 8:30 p.m. that night. I arrived at the restaurant at 8:30 p.m. that night to be told no such reservation existed and I could not be seated for dinner that night. Seems like an innocent mistake, right? However, Jamie, let me read you this from one of our clients. I didn't care so much about our suite issue, but they did the same thing to me at the same restaurant. I showed up, no reservation. They
So this was a
also recommended
response.
yes. This is a client of ours that we both know who has
Okay.
booked with us. This is what they said on this Facebook thread. This is before they were our client, but this happened to them. So let me start over real quick. Now we got this cleared up. I didn't care about the suite, but they did the same to me at the same restaurant reservation. I showed up, no reservation. Then they also recommended a particular restaurant that was supposed to have one specific dish I wanted to try. I showed up, I sat down, I did have a reservation, but guess what? They've never offered that dish here. In fact, I asked the server and he goes, I've worked here for 18 years and we've never had this dish. It was our next to last night, so I ended up not eating this dish on our trip. How could a Clef d'Or concierge at a five-star hotel fail so badly 2 nights in a row? It gets crazier, Jamie. Two other people in the comments said they also had a reservation made by this concierge, were told that it was there, and the reservation was not made. And then this is the craziest part of this whole story, Jamie. It's for the restaurant in the freaking hotel. It's not like it's some, because they have a famous restaurant in their hotel. So it's
Yeah,
not even like it's like he's like calling you. It's literally a restaurant 15
that's
steps from where this guy is working. So he, to me, is clearly a chronic
yes.
non-restaurant booker. What? I mean, I
All
don't want to
all I
laugh at people's,
That's
but man,
terrible. All I can think is the concierge like, oh, they're staying here. They could probably just get in, no problem, and he doesn't even do anything. Wow.
this is a
I mean, I don't even know
five-star
what.
hotel, Jamie.
That's what I almost feel like. How do you not just walk back over to like the concierge desk and be like, "Hey, I'm supposed to have a reservation at 8:30. Can you go talk to the restaurant?"
And let's put some perspective on
Yeah, I
this.
mean, I don't even know what.
This is a 146 room hotel in a large European city with an average nightly rate of 750 to $1,000.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what the proper compensation would be. Like, That's just crazy that it's a chronic problem that multiple people have commented about.
The thing was, it wasn't even that good of a story, and I skipped it. And then I was like, "Well, let me look at the comments." And then I started seeing these
That's
comments, and
what
I'm like,
makes the
"This is,"
story.
and then so there's 4 people in a Facebook group of maybe, let's call it 2,000 people that have been to
Yeah,
this hotel, have had a fake reservation made. So then I'm like, "How many non-reservations is this guy making?"
hundreds or thousands. I mean, if you're getting that sample size from such a small group, it's gotta be astronomical.
And then the thing with our client, and then he sent her to another restaurant. Like, do you think is that incompetence? Which I'm not even
I
sure
think
now at this
so.
point. Is it incompetence? Is he like getting a cut from this restaurant? Like, I got to funnel as many people here as I can. Like, this is crazy. You're right. I don't even know compensation. Like, what do you? I don't know,
Especially if you're
man.
leaving, like, I mean, I would be like, "Hey, get me some free dinner or something maybe," but that's that's crazy to me.
Okay, Jamie. I think I saved the best one for last, or certainly the grossest.
Ugh.
I saved the best for last. This is actually from Sean Coomer at MTM Vegas. He has a great podcast every week about Las Vegas. This is about a hotel stay in the Caribbean. I don't know if he's ever talked about it on a podcast, but he wrote this up on a blog. I think this happened 5, 6, 7 years ago. I titled it "Ramen Noodles in a Coffee Machine." Let's go for a ride, Jamie.
Alright, let's
I
hear
did
it.
edit this down, but I got most of the disaster, I think, here. We arrived around midnight only to truly find how rundown the rooms in this luxury hotel were. They wouldn't look out of place at a rundown Night's Inn somewhere in the middle of Pennsylvania. Imagine our shock, too, when we woke up the next morning to find out our door didn't even lock properly, and we were given an ugly rooftop view instead of the expected view of the ocean. While the room condition in this 50-year-old tower did not improve, we were moved to a room with a much better view and a working lock, and we made the best of our stay without much issue. The next day began innocently enough with my wife going to make herself a cup of coffee. Unfortunately, she discovered in her coffee maker ramen noodles that were left over from the previous guest.
Ugh.
To be clear, the previous guest had somehow left ramen noodles and their broth in the water well of the coffee maker, and housekeeping hadn't checked it, so my wife was left to make that terrible discovery as ramen noodles came falling into her coffee.
This is why you don't drink coffee.
Man, things happen. We called down to housekeeping for another one, and we were pleasantly surprised when someone brought one up quickly. My wife's next move was to use our restroom and wash her face. As it turned out, the faucet had no water come out of it.
Ooh.
She called downstairs to be told that there was an incident and the water was shut off in the entire tower. When asked what happened, they were told they couldn't tell us. We had no ability to shower or do anything else, so we went to the pools for the day. After a fairly long wait for the elevator, we arrived to the ground floor to find utter mayhem. Employees were running around as water was leaking from the roof. Towels were thrown around many places, and one employee told the manager that 4 or 5 of the elevators were down. The only way they knew if the elevator was working or not is if guests came out of it. There was no concern for our guest safety or why these elevators weren't working. When guests emerged from an elevator they previously thought wasn't working, they were excited and exclaimed now only 3 elevators were down and not working. Thank God no one was stuck that I know of. As we arrived in our room after 5 p.m. that night, I immediately noticed my shoes were squishing as I walked across the carpeting. I made my way deeper into the room and found out that about 70% of our room was flooded and full of water. The somewhat dingy carpet was full of a musty liquid, and I found a handwritten note on the bed to call downstairs. Yes, they knew my room was flooded, but they decided not to contact me in any way. They thought it was best for me to discover it myself. I was not pleased. We called downstairs to the front desk immediately, and the automated system said there was a hold time before dropping my call. On the second call to the front desk, it resulted in us asking for a manager to be transferred to a line that rang about 30 times and then hung up. We then called housekeeping, where we spoke with an agent who insisted we had a new room, told us she would bring a bellman, and completely ignored our request to speak with a manager. Finally, though, after going in circles, she huffed and said she would have a manager come up to the room. We waited for 30 minutes. No one came. I openly admit that we should have walked to the front desk to speak with someone. Although you'll see later on, I have little faith in what if it would have made a difference. Anyway, 30 minutes passed. No one showed up. Again, the previous agent had denoted or done nothing. No manager was called, no notes were entered, and we were back where we started. The second agent once again deflected and resisted in calling a manager, but ultimately she would. 20 minutes later, a bellman showed up and we were in a new room. The story kind of goes on from there, but I think that's the gist of the good stuff. What's your take here, Jamie?
So I do think he called out what my suggestion would be. I'm always a go down in person. As uncomfortable as the face to face interaction is, I feel like you're going to be much more likely to get a resolution. Like they can't, no one's going to hang up on you. You can't get brushed off. Like you can
Yeah.
stand there until someone takes care of you essentially. So that would be my suggestion. I mean, compensation wise, I think you're flooded. My standard go to is like, hey, if something like that happens and they have to move you, I would think take care of a night of your stay, or like I
Hmm.
said, the points equivalent, or something similar. Particularly being flooded. I mean, we talked about it when I went to London. My room, not I don't think to this extent. I thought I flooded the room initially, but turns out there was a leak in the wall. They moved us to a new room. I walked down to the front desk. I'm like, hey, flooded. Someone came out to look at it. Yep, sure enough, move you. That's what should happen. My case was much quicker and simpler, so I didn't ask for anything. Their situation, multiple issues. I would probably ask for, hey, can you take care of one night? Or, I mean, that should be almost volunteered, in my opinion.
If I do remember correctly, they invited him to come back. I don't remember if it was after he wrote his blog post or what may have happened, but I think they did attempt some
Yeah.
decent service recovery. There is a good point though, too, Jamie. I think you are always going to be the best advocate for yourself. I think you've got to walk this line where I think you have to be firm, but you also have to be like calm and rational.
Yes.
Like there's
You have
definitely
to be
this
reasonable.
divergence where I think, yes,
You may not get your whole stay comped, even though you think your vacation's ruined. Like, you got to kind of step back and, like, all right, is it one day? Is it like, how inconvenient was it? What's a fair value? What can the hotel actually do? You have a
right. That's
$10,000
a good
stay and you
point
had
too.
one bad day. I don't think they're going to comp your whole stay. They might take a night off or buy you dinner or something like that. So I think that's a pretty fair, if they comped a night or offered a recovery stay. And my reaction is similar to the last one. If they offer you a recovery stay, I feel like your reservation is going to be flagged or noted in some way. Like, make sure this person's next stay is seamless. Like, that's my thought, at
Yeah.
least.
You would hope.
I would hope.
All right, Jamie. We had these 6 disaster stories. I got to ask you a question. Which one do you think is the one you would want to happen to you the least?
I mean, there two of them. The wedding night one, I think that's because
Okay.
it's your wedding night. There's not really a,
Sure.
you know, spring break. You're going to do another spring break, or things like that. Like, your wedding night is kind of a, hopefully, a one-time thing, maybe a couple, but
Oh boy.
it's a special night. I think that is one, and then I feel like the Mexico one with the stinky room would probably be my other one, because there's not a lot of resolution if the place is sold out. Like, you're kind of stuck. You have a GM that's not willing to do anything or help you out at all there. Those would be probably my two.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with the bathtub one. I think the fear, not even the bathtub itself, but I mean, this lady had to make a sign that said, "Do not move
Yes,
us," and
that's
lock
fair.
herself in
That's
her
fair.
room. And I think the safe one too.
Yeah,
I just
I'd be
the
full. I'd
the
be the anxiety. That
anxiety.
would give me full panic. Now, granted, that is a small window of time that is ruined, and it's the end of your vacation. But that
Sure.
still is. I would be full panic there.
Well, she was also hungry, Jamie. It took her 90 minutes to get
That's fair.
breakfast every day.
That's fair.
It's okay. Interesting. I think that was pretty fun.
I'm gonna give you a bonus. I'm gonna give you the
Um,
bonus one,
oh yeah, let's hit your bonus, please.
and I'm gonna put this up there as
Okay.
interesting. So this didn't happen to me. This happened to my wife about a year ago, year and a half ago. This was on a work trip, but it's a work trip in a vacation destination. So, not that that's necessarily like relevant, but to give you an idea of, like, she's basically staying at
She's not in New York
yeah,
City.
she's staying at a resort hotel essentially. It is a Marriott property, and I'm going to say that because that ties into the story a little bit. So she's titanium, which is one of the higher tiers. She checks into the hotel. She's upgraded to a suite. This is her first day stay there. You know, don't think anything of it. Checks into the hotel, upgraded to suite. She's in bed at 10:30 at night. She gets a knock on the door. She's like, okay. It is the front desk manager and security, and they're demanding to see her ID and the credit card she used to book the stay, because she is fraudulently using somebody's Marriott account to stay at this hotel.
Oh,
And I'm like, so she calls me. She's like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? She had booked it through Concur at work. Like, nothing funky. I'm like, I have no idea. So she's like, I don't know what to do. They see, like, yeah, it's her name, it's her ID, it's everything. So I call and I get this person at night is front desk completely incompetent. They're like, yeah, Marriott corporate called. They said her account, she's using someone's account fraudulently. And they're like threatening to like throw her out of the hotel. And I'm like, this is freaking crazy. They're saying that some guy logged into his account, can see her stay. He called Marriott corporate and he can see all our reservations in his account. And there's overlapping stays. And she's supposed to be in Niagara Falls right now, but she's checked into this hotel. Like it was all this craziness. So I'm like, this makes no sense. So the next day, they're like, it's fine. She could stay the night, we'll figure it out tomorrow. So the next day, I get, thank goodness, a competent manager on the phone. And I'm looking and I'm like, there's no for one, I'm like, this is her account. She's staying there. There's no duplicate stay because this guy somehow could see she did have a Niagara Falls stay booked. So he can somehow see those stays. They were a month later. So this was like the 20th of October. He saw the 20th of November. So they had the months wrong. This was the Marriott rep was like, oh yeah, they have overlapping stays, blah, blah, blah. So what happened was the person that checked her into the hotel didn't check her in. They like extended the person's stay of the room she was in, which was a guy who was also Marriott Titanium, and put her in his room and extended his stay for like 3 nights. So when he logged in, it looked like he was still at the hotel. The reservation was gone from her Marriott account, so I couldn't even see her stay anymore. And they were accusing her, like Marriott corporate was accusing her of fraud, so the hotel was going to kick her out of the hotel. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, you guys woke her up out of bed, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. She's stressing out, like, no idea what's happening. This guy, thankfully, he could see what happened in the system, like, was very apologetic. He wound up giving her, like, 100,000 Marriott points, which I thought was a pretty fair compensation. But talk about, like, a disaster. Like, I can't imagine someone waking me up and accusing me of, like, fraudulently staying at a hotel. I don't know. It was pretty crazy.
So crazy story. I guess now that you're saying this, it's all coming to me. This happened to me. This happened to me, and then some similar issue, except I only stayed at this hotel one night. They didn't properly check out the person before me. So then when I went to check out, they were basically like, you're not even at this hotel. Like, but then what's crazy is the lady at the front desk somehow managed to take my loyalty number and put it into this guy's reservation. And so then she's like, this is you, right? And reading some weird name,
Yeah.
weird address. And I'm like, no, that is not me. I mean, luckily they hadn't figured it out. It was one night at security or no one got involved. I didn't even ask for compensation, but I didn't even end up getting charged for the room, but I don't even know
Yeah.
if they knew
Yeah,
how because
right.
I don't even think I was there. But I mean, it was like a
Yeah.
$150 a night
Yeah,
hotel.
it was crazy.
And that's stressful though. I mean,
Yeah, she's by herself. I mean, and you think about it.
and then it's creepy too. She's
Yes, and
alone and
that
then
was her
some
biggest
guy can
thing.
see all her
Yeah.
reservations.
Yeah, that was
Like,
I think
man,
her biggest thing was like, "Hey, I'm here by myself. I've got like these strange men knocking at my door at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, like demanding identification and the credit card that I'm paying with." And I think you're also a top, one of the top. I mean, next to Ambassador, Titanium was the highest you could be. So you're clearly a loyal Marriott customer. To be like treated like a criminal, it was pretty wild. And funny story, she's actually at that hotel right now.
oh boy. Well, hopefully they treat her well.
Yeah, I told her, I said, you should email that manager and be like, hey, I'm coming back. I don't want any problems.
I would. That's crazy. Oh
Yeah.
man. That's funny. I had totally forgot about that experience until
So it
you
must be
started telling
something
the
the front
story.
desk
I
can
was
do,
like, oh,
like, oh, you're assigned to this room and just don't check the other person out.
well, see, I think it's just late. I think what happened, it's just lazy
Yes.
front desk people. Because I think what happened was I actually got there, if I remember right, I got there kind of late in the night. And then I just checked in, and I think she didn't want to. I think someone had messed up. And I think instead of dealing with any of it, since that person was, I think, already checked in that room or whatever, she literally just went and entered my
Yes.
account number into his reservation.
Craziness.
Crazy. Well, Jamie, let's wrap this one up. This was a great
That was
episode.
fun.
Please give us some feedback if you like these, because I'd like to do more, but I want to make sure everyone is entertained as we are. If you need to book a hotel reservation, that I cannot promise you won't be a disaster, but I can promise you we will advocate for you as much as possible. Check us out, travelbrospod.com/book with us. Jamie, before we go, give the people quick some reasons, ways we can help them. Why are they going to book with us?
I mean, a bunch.
In case we got some new listeners
One,
here.
we're well traveled, so we've got lots of ideas for you. We can typically get you some extra perks and benefits, whether that's breakfast for two daily, property credits, upgrades, welcome amenities, things like that. Also, you can see these disaster stories. We've got typically good connections at hotels, so we can advocate for you. Sometimes it's easier for us to email a GM or something like that and at least get the ball rolling and try to get some things fixed, whether it's before or after your stay. Like I just had somebody literally not yesterday, Sunday. They were on their way to a trip. I was also traveling, but they were on their way. Their flight got delayed. They weren't going to make it to the hotel till the next day. They just shot me a message. I reached out to the hotel for them, had them, kind of push the checkout back, like, hey, they're not going to be a no show. Their flight's just jacked up. They'll be there tomorrow. So they didn't have to deal with it. It was just a quick WhatsApp to me, and I took care of all that for them. So small things like that try to take the stress out of your travel. So we're here for you
Perfect. Thanks again, everyone. Like I said, travelbrospod.com. Hit the book with us. We got a link in bio anywhere,
somewhere.
somewhere on the page. And I think that was our best
I
episode
like
yet.
it.
Let's go. Have a good
See
one.
ya.
Later, guys.